So the next case was a detention case. I think you mentioned. What was that about?
Yeah, Velasco Lopez v. Decker out of the Second Circuit on October 27th. Detention cases, they get me animated. I try not to let emotion get involved, but I don't know, something about taking away someone's freedom. Like it seems like it should be a really serious thing, and we seem to do it pretty willy-nilly when it comes to immigrants in the United States. And so, you know, this is another issue that's going to make its way up to the Supreme Court eventually. In this case, it arises out of district court. It's a habeas case, and Mr. Velasco Lopez, he was detained for 15 months. He had DACA. He lost it because of a DUI, and then he got like another DUI arrest, but that didn't end up getting convicted. But while his removal proceedings were going forward, he was detained for 15 months. He was denied bond twice, with one DUI conviction and then a DUI charge. And the immigration judge said that he couldn't meet his burden because even though it was just a charge, he couldn't produce sufficient evidence to show that he wasn't dangerous, even though he wasn't convicted for it. And it's all about burdens. And so, having lost twice before the IJ and gone up to the BIA, he filed a habeas action, which is a difficult thing to do because the INA really takes away the ability for non-citizens to challenge detention decisions in federal district court. But they got around it. It was a lot easier before the Supreme Court's decision in Rodriguez v. Jennings 2 years ago, which overturned the whole batch of Ninth Circuit cases about how this whole procedure should work. But it's the Jennings v. Rodriguez v. Jennings, Jennings v. Rodriguez, however you want to call it, left open the possibility that district courts had the authority to grant habeas relief where there's been a constitutional violation or a violation of law. Um, that's what is going to go to the Supreme Court probably eventually to say they said that was not before them, so they didn't do anything about it in Jennings v. Rodriguez. And here, the district court and the Second Circuit found that there was a due process constitutional violation when a guy has been detained for 15 months based on a DUI, really based on anything, without having a hearing in which the government bears the burden by clear and convincing evidence to show that continued detention is warranted. So this guy was detained under INA Section 236A, not mandatory detention under 236C, but regular detention under 236A, and he couldn't meet his burden twice. After 15 months, the Second Circuit is saying, I'd say pretty much with all non-citizens who aren't mandatory detention, that you have the right to a bond hearing where the government bears the burden to show that your detention is warranted. Now, they were very clear to say this isn't a hard and fast 15-month rule, but I don't know why this would be distinguishable from another 15-month rule. Also, there's no reason that this decision couldn't be written for 10 months of detention or 8 months of detention. It's just all about when you bring your habeas case. And they do say it's under the Matthews test, the Supreme Court due process, 1976 Matthews, the Eldridge test. And the Second Circuit did say that as you're detained longer, the interest in detaining you decreases. So more time does help your habeas case. But, if the client is willing to fight it out, I'd file these. You can file these at any time and after 6 months for sure.